It all started a week ago, when the CDC made notice of a new disease. A disease that was, unlike any other, affecting cognitive function to a great extent, causing severe hunger and making individuals lose control of their motor skills. I contracted the disease when I myself went out the house against CDC warnings just to take a walk when I felt cooped up a little bit too much due to the quarantine measures and came into contact with a drooling man. His shirt was drenched in his own saliva and he was as pale as a ghost. He was an elderly man, probably in his late 50s or early 60s. To make a long story short, he attacked by biting me. I ran to my home where I called the police, but I got no response but a busy signal, after which I sat on the couch and tried to turn on the TV to only realize there was no power at all in my home. And to think about it, it was oddly dark in my house as well when I woke up. Therefore, I went upstairs to use the bathroom and clean myself off from my, previous encounter. I then started to get violently ill over the course of 1 hour and a half, and my body felt like it was shutting down. I began to throw up violently. I couldn't stop myself, and I was so extremely thirsty. I must have drank at least 2 gallons of water in that hour and a half. And then, after that, I became, ravenous. I ate everything I could get my hands on, only to vomit it back up later. I was so hungry that I was in pain. Horrible, horrible pain. My stomach felt like it had a literal hole in it. Then I started drooling, and I lost control of my body. At that point, the first seizure I had felt like a relief. And as I was seizing, I managed to fall down, hitting a table with a vase placed on top of it, which crashed to the ground. And as I lay there, I felt nothing but extreme terror, but still the hunger. The noise was loud enough to wake up my 8-year-old daughter as she came rushing downstairs and screamed as I convulsed on the floor. Of course, she was panicking, and I could tell she didn't know what to do. I then began to stop my seizure, and now with my shirt covered in drool, I had no control of my body as I rose up looking directly at my daughter, and all I felt was the ravenous hunger as I saw my arms lunge forward at her. I was completely conscious of what I was doing, but not under any control of my body. It was an excruciating 5 hours as I ate until there was nothing left of my own child. I wanted to cry, but I couldn't. I wanted to scream, but I couldn't. The only thing I could do was regurgitate the flesh of my daughter to make room for more in my stomach. I pray for death. Nothing but raw meat for months now. No, that's not the worst part. No, that's the bones and the teeth. They cut your throat on the way down. I'm so sick to my stomach all the time, but I can't vomit. Day in and day out, it's always the same. The chasing, the screaming, the inevitable silence. Then only punctuated by the squelching of our mouths masticating flesh. I see it in the others' eyes, too. We're all disgusted with ourselves. Some still weep while they chew. I got over that weeks ago. Before I was bitten, I did everything in my power to stay alive. Kept my wife and myself locked up safely in the basement. We survived the initial wave, but eventually there was no more food, and I needed to go out for supplies. They snuck up on me in the supermarket. Having found a few cans of beans, I was so excited that I let my guard down just for a second. Once I felt the teeth sink into my arm, I knew it was over. 100% infection rate, no cure, no immunity. I told my wife that if I was ever compromised, I wouldn't come back. I would never risk her safety. I reached for my gun, and it nearly pointed at my head when one of them grabbed my arm and stopped me. They pinned me down to the ground and just waited for it to take over. It doesn't share its thoughts with me, but I still don't fully understand its actions. But what I have figured out is that those that are healthy and strong, they become the new hosts. Those that are old, weak, injured, many women, most children, they became food, nothing more. It was several hours before I heard her voice. Ben? Ben, where are you? No, I told her to stay put. Never to come looking for me. Desperately, I tried to call out to her, to tell her to run, but I was no longer in control of my vocal cords. No longer in control of anything. In horror, I watched my own body rise from the ground and follow the others in her direction. She tried to flee, but she wasn't quick enough. We caught her in seconds. I could still hear her screaming every night and see myself tearing holes in her beautiful face. Now I wish for death every day. Every time we find a new group of survivors, I pray one of them will finally put a bullet in my head, blow me up, crush my skull, anything to stop this madness. Today, I thought I might get lucky. We came across a heavily fortified house, and I watched several of my compatriots fall to booby traps on the perimeter. Unfortunately, I was with the group that breached the door. He stopped a few of us before he ran out of ammo. But, as it was inevitable, we overwhelmed him and held him in place. He was strong, therefore a new host. At least that meant no feeding for now. Then, at that moment we held him down, this new host to our horde. I heard a child whimpering in the next room, and my head turned.